Okay, we are rolling. Jeffrey Harris here. This is the Hollywood Purgatory. We're back again. It is Monday, February 26th. On the other end of the line in NoCal, we have Jay Snook. Hi, Jay.
Hey
How are
there.
you?
Also, thumb is now all healed. No
Oh,
more
great.
covered or
You have a
anything.
cool scar there, though.
Well, a little one, but
A little scar.
yeah.
I'm over here in Southern Cal, so we have NoCal and SoCal representing.
It actually
Even though,
supposedly snowed here today, but I was at work, so I missed it.
by way of well, I'm sorry you missed the snow. If my face is looking a little raw right now, it's because I just shaved and I get mad razor burns. So yeah, so sorry about the condition of my face looking worse than usual. So a lot of just news items for us to talk about tonight, Jay. Our main thing here is the premiere, of course, of Star Wars Rebels season 4. I don't know about you, but it's definitely one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, mid-season, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, we got our mid-season premiere for season 4. We're going to be diving into that. But first thing I wanted to talk about was because we were talking about Black Panther last week, and I just kind of wanted to go over the box office a little bit before we get started. If you look, these numbers for this film are insane. Last weekend, it made over, I think, 200 million for the weekend. 242 million for the holiday weekend. This weekend it made 111 million. So for its second weekend, some movies don't even open that big for their first weekend, let alone for their second. Its drop off was only 44.7%, which I mean, for a comic book superhero movie, I mean, to drop less than 50%, that's pretty big. I mean, usually dropping about 55% is pretty good. This movie was less than 45% for its second weekend. Now it's sitting at 403 million domestic and 708 million worldwide. Just let's look at just by comparison, in 2 weekends, it's just about to overtake the final domestic total for Captain America Civil War, which featured the introduction of Black Panther and was a Captain America sequel. This film is very likely going to be the second biggest Marvel movie ever. What do you think of just how great this movie is doing?
I think it's not really surprising because, Marvel is always breaking their own records because at least with their movies in the MCU, they really know what they're doing. I mean, they took a
not like DC, right?
What's really interesting about the MCU to me, is they take characters sometimes that aren't even really that well known. Like, I don't know much about Black Panther, just the character, the comic, honestly, but they took it like to where everyone could understand it, could relate to it, and it really hit home with a lot of people, like, in a way that just films like this haven't really before, So I'm not surprised it's done as well as it has. I'm sure like we kind of had said in the past, it's going to keep doing well because it doesn't have any competition really until I think the end of the month.
Well, as we can see from these weekend results, let's see. Game Night and Annihilation were not much in the way of competition for this film.
Weren't. They really weren't.
Which we're gonna be talking more about those films. But man, this film it's doing pretty amazing.
And I think it still will until I think Ready Player One comes out. It'll have no competition.
I mean, pretty much anything it makes is just like really gravy at this point, because it's already, I think, number 5 in the rankings for Marvel film box office. So that's pretty stunning already. But I wonder if it, honestly, at this rate, I wonder if it can finish ahead of the Avengers. The Avengers made 623 million domestic in 2012, and it had 1.5 billion worldwide. Now, maybe it doesn't make 1.5 billion worldwide, but do you think it could make another 225 million domestic? Or do you think it has enough juice for that?
I think so.
You think it can make over 625 million domestic?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
All right. I mean,
just because this is one of those films too where you're going to hear a lot more positive about it than negative. It's almost all positive. It's just the reality.
Well, you've already been hearing pretty much glowing reviews. I mean,
yeah. Whenever I tell anybody about this, I'm like, I tell everybody you have to go see this movie.
I mean,
it's one of those films.
Right.
And not every film was like that.
Right. I mean, a lot of Marvel films are like that, but this is like on another level. I think
it just is.
Because I mean, it's still doing so well.
And
it's still made over 110 million. I mean, just for example, Spider-Man only made like 116 million in its first weekend, and that was the first Spider-Man movie. I mean, 2002 Spider-Man.
Okay.
So, even though inflation on ticket prices and all that, and that's pretty stunning. So yeah, we could be looking at the single biggest Marvel movie in history.
Until Infinity War, of course.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, a lot's riding on Infinity War.
Yeah.
But like you said, Marvel kind of tends to always break its own records. So
the problem with Infinity War is going to end at some kind of cliffhanger because in Avengers 4.
One would assume.
Yeah.
Here's my thing about Infinity War. They've been building to it so long. Like they've been building to this film for 10 years. It's bound to disappoint people, don't you think? Like
I don't know, to be honest, because I've only seen a handful of MCU films that weren't as good as I thought they could have been. But even I didn't hate them. Like Ant-Man,
I feel the same way.
Ant-Man I thought was okay, but I didn't hate Ant-Man.
I didn't hate Ant-Man either, but like people like Iron Man 2 is like the least popular Iron Man movie, I guess, in terms of fan reception. I kind of like Iron Man 2 more than Iron Man 3, but I'm in the minority there. Like
the thing between 2 and 3 is 2 is just 3 is kind of like it's the end of his chapter, at least, because they're not going to do another Iron Man movie. Iron Man will show up again, but we've heard nothing of another Iron Man movie since now he's being with Avengers and all that stuff, right? So Iron Man 3 is good, but I kind of like 2 a little bit better as well, because 2 introduced a villain that I didn't know much about, and Rourke did an amazing job as him.
Right.
And don't be wrong, the guy, I want to say it was the Guy Ritchie who was the bad guy in Iron Man 3?
No, it's Guy Pearce. Close. Guy Ritchie is a director.
Yeah, Guy Pearce.
Guy.
So, 3 was good, but I don't know. So I understand.
We're kind of going on a tangent there, but I mean, let's keep an eye on this. And I mean, man, I mean, again,
like I said, I predict it won't lose steam until Ready Player One, because it isn't really any real competition.
Or Tomb Raider, depending on how well.
We'll see. You don't
have high expectations, but the first.
No, it's not that. It's just. It's another Tomb Raider's another film to go either way. It could be really good or really bad. Nowhere in between.
I don't have high expectations for it, but that's a big movie that's coming out in a couple weeks.
True. So we'll see for that one, but I don't think it's going to knock this one off of its pedestal. I don't think so.
All right. So our main topic of discussion tonight, we got our mid-season premiere of Star Wars Rebels. We've been talking a lot about Star Wars and Rebels on this podcast. We've been making predictions. We got our mid-season premiere with which one was it? It was Jedi Knight.
Yes.
This was the 69th episode of the show. So we got 2 episodes last week. We had Jedi Knight and Doom.
Yes.
Jedi Knight was quite an emotional kick to the gut, man. A very harrowing, dramatic episode. And I'll say this: a lot of my predictions are coming true, Jay. But here's just a quick recap. Now, just so everyone knows, this is a spoiler cast. We will be getting into spoiler discussion.
Earmuffs,
what does that mean?
Yeah, earmuffs you don't want to hear.
Earmuffs if you don't want to hear.
Yeah. Or mute it. Or mute it.
And then watch the episodes and come back and listen to the show later, right?
Yeah, correct.
All right, so quick recap. Courtesy of Wikipedia. While Hera is being tortured by Governor Price, Ezra Kanan and Sabine prepare to extract her from Imperial captivity. We see Kanan near the start of it. He kind of goes through this ritual where he gets a haircut. 4 seasons later, he finally changes his look. He gets a haircut. He shaves the beard off. He looks pretty cool, honestly.
And he takes off the mask finally.
He took off because he's blind, and he's been wearing that kind of that Jedi helmet for a while because of his eyes, and he was blind. And he tells Ezra basically, Ezra, I need you to be the leader to save Hera. I need you to take point here. I had a feeling throughout the whole episode, Kanan knew what was going to happen. Kanan saw that he was not going to come out of this mission alive, and he knew that Ezra had to take over for him. What do you think about that?
Well, I actually sadly first saw online someone spoiled it, so I knew it was going to happen, but it was still interesting to see it unfold. And it really wasn't that big of a. It was interesting how it happened,
right?
But it was like we've been predicting. When it happened, I'm like, yeah, kind of saw that coming. I wasn't like, oh my god, no way.
I feel like if you've been watching the show since the beginning, you really should have seen it coming, honestly.
Yeah, it was just interesting how it happened, and it was kind of cool that it happened for a purpose that kind of went in their favor, which is kind of nice.
Well, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So basically, Kanan, I felt like Kanan had an ominous premonition. I feel like he was trying to prepare Ezra because he knew something was going to happen on this mission. Do you agree?
I do. Yeah.
What do you think of Kanan getting a haircut and shaving himself right before the end?
I thought it was kind of interesting, but I guess it was maybe like, either maybe him like, what would be the word? Because he was doing it for like some reason, like he wanted to like prepare himself for the mission, maybe like, rebirth or something. Maybe, I don't know. Because
I feel it was just kind of a ritual thing.
But there was a time where he had been really down in the dumps, and like for this, he knew that like that he had to save Hera at all costs, right?
To me, it was kind of like a samurai. It was kind of like the ritual a samurai goes through before he performs like a ritual suicide, which is not
because didn't like.
Well, let me finish, because that's sort of in samurai culture, in ancient, in like feudal Japan, you kind of see those moments where they kind of clean themselves off, and they're kind of sitting in that crouched kneeling position, and they have like a dagger, and they like clean, and maybe I forget if they'll cut like their top knot off, but they'll kind of do that before they kill themselves. So I feel it was sort of like Kanan kind of like shaving, he cut his hair and he shaved his face. I feel like he's kind of like cleansing his body before he dies. Like he knows he's going to go on this mission, and he knows it's the end for him, and he's going to die. And to me, it's sort of like it was him performing a type of ritual last rites. That's what I saw it as.
Could be. It's a possibility.
Do you think I'm off there, or do you think that
could be ridiculous? A possibility. I think it could be a possibility. Something like that, because he knew. I see it as that, and then maybe also just a preparation, like for because he
didn't need to do that for the mission, honestly.
But I mean, mentally, he did it for his mental state, because he knew that this was going to be a tough mission, and he knew that it was probably going to end really badly.
All right. Do you agree that the Jedi in Star Wars are partially based on like samurai culture?
Didn't Lucas say that when he first met with them? Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, it's kind of Dave Filoni just kind of finding another parallel between the Jedis and the samurai. That's what I thought it was, to kind of push that angle kind of further, because we know that's what Lucas sort of based them on partially.
One time in old sketches, Vader actually is going to look more samurai, but then he kind of switched it around a little bit.
I mean, you can still see it in his helmet.
Yeah, of course.
Also, I liked the way Kanan looked after he got his haircut and shave. Honestly, I would have liked if he'd done that like earlier on in the show. Would you agree?
I don't know. I kind of because how they were in the beginning and now.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of growth going on since then, so I think I don't know.
Do you remember, like in season 3, like Ezra looked? Remember Ezra looked older. He cut his hair, and he almost looks like a Star Killer when they brought him back. Do you remember in season 3? Because remember, he used to be a shrimpy. He used to be a shrimpy kid, and he had that long hair.
True, true, true.
And then he got that short buzz cut.
Didn't he have a scar in his face season 3 too, or was that season 4?
He got in. I think he got in the first season after the fight with the Inquisitor, as I recall.
There's been a few Inquisitor fights.
From the first season with the Grand Inquisitor.
Okay, there's been a couple of Inquisitors. It's hard to keep track.
Basically, yeah, there's a whole bunch of Inquisitors. I mean, the original Inquisitor from the first season, though, the Grand Inquisitor. So basically, Hera is the prisoner of Governor Price, who's torturing her and trying to get information out of her. And then
she shoots her with the truth serum, doesn't she, or something like that?
Yeah. Like remember, what was cool about that was like the droid, that interrogator droid from the very first Star Wars movie. That, if you remember, when Darth Vader and Princess Leia are in that holding cell, and you see that droid with the syringe, and it kind of like cuts off after it's going to inject Leia. Here we actually see what it does.
Didn't we see it in Empire Strikes Back too? I thought, or am I wrong?
Well, in Empire Strikes Back, we see like Han Solo on like that. He's in that like torture chamber, and they put him in the. I don't know. They start torturing him with all those.
Because I thought we saw that droid there too. I could be wrong.
No, this droid was from A New Hope.
Okay.
So this was basically the same thing, and Governor Price does inject her with the truth serum. So Hera is basically high on drugs most of the episode, which was honestly, before all the sad stuff happened, that was kind of funny. Honestly, Hera basically acting high as a kite. So all the heroes, they build these kind of gliders. To infiltrate the dome on Lothal's capital city, because like there are these flying creatures that like fly around, so that the gliders make them look like these flying creatures. So they infiltrate the city. Kanan finds the family heirloom that Grand Admiral Thrawn had stolen from Hera's family home, the Calicori. It is. I looked this up. It is, and it's hard to remember and say the name. The object, that little doll, her family doll, it's called a Calicori. So Kanan steals that back for Hera. He rescues Hera, and Hera's all woozy, high as a kite, which I thought was kind of funny, honestly. How did you like seeing Hera high on drugs?
It was definitely different to see her that way, because she was definitely a little bit. She's usually always so strong. Yeah. She wasn't really strong in that mindset, so it's kind of interesting.
Well, it was very amusing because it was true serum, and she was still able to fight despite being high. If you remember, those the Death Troopers from Rogue One showed up again, and they fight them off. They're able to get Hera out, and so basically, and then Ezra and Sabine, they're in disguise as troopers, and they commandeer a jump ship. So here's what happens. Hera and Kanan, they take one of the gliders and they fly it to a fuel depot. They take it to the top of the fuel depot. Ezra and Sabine are flying their stolen ship to the top of the fuel depot to pick them up. Then Governor Price realizes they got Hera, and Hera escaped. So they take one of the AT-AT walkers, one of the AT-AT walkers, to the fuel depot. And just as they're about to pick up Kanan and Hera in the dropship, boom, boom, Price blows up the fuel depot, even though that's an important Imperial fuel depot, and it gets blown sky high. But in the very last moment, Kanan is able to use his force powers, and he pushes back the explosion flames just in time for Ezra and Sabine to pick up Hera. Pushes their ship away, and just as he's engulfed in the flames, somehow his eyes that were previously blind, they come back to their original color, and he looks at Hera's eyes just before he's burnt to a flaming crisp, and thus is the end of the tale of the fallen Jedi, Kanan Jarrus. So
the real bummer about this episode was they waited this long to finally tell each other they love themselves, love each other, and then that freaking happened. Like, really, guys, you waited that long, 4 seasons?
Yeah, that's funny, because just That's right, because just before they get picked up and saved, Hera's like, I love you, and like Kanan's like, oh, that's just like the serum talking, and like Hera's like, no, I really love you, and they had kissed beforehand, but they're finally reunited and kissed each other this time. I gotta be honest, I thought it was a little weird because I always thought throughout the whole series that they were just always together. I always, but what did you think? What did you think that they finally, they finally had sort of that passionate romantic moment before the end?
I think it was nice to see it finally happen. It was kind of, at the same time, though, kind of bittersweet because you're like, well, it's going to happen, but then something else bad's going to happen too. It's just reality. And like I said, I already knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know how it was going to happen.
Right, but are you okay with Kanan dying like this, or do you think how do you think it was executed?
I think it was good and it was fitting for him because it's really how he wanted to go. He wanted to deal a blow to the Empire, and that was the best way you think of doing it, right?
Well, here's what's interesting. So what the Empire has been doing on Lothal is that Grand Admiral Thrawn has been heading up a production of his TIE Defender ship design, and that fuel that Price blew up to kill Kanan was a big part of that. And so in the middle of the episode, Thrawn is summoned to meet with Emperor Palpatine by Grand Moff Tarkin to basically kind of sell the Emperor on the plan of his TIE Defender, because he's talking about Orson Krennic and the Death Star plan. He calls it Stardust, but that's the Death Star.
Yeah, that was cool. I love that. That was so great.
So they're tying it into Rogue One, basically. Kind of because this is all right before Rogue. This is going to end basically a short time before Rogue One. So they're kind of tying in all those details together. So, and then Price blows up their fuel depot, and so now all the fuel they were using to kind of produce those TIE Defenders has now gone up in smoke. Even so, Price got a little overzealous. So
it was great to see Thrawn so pissed. That was great.
So
he was like, I should kill you right now.
We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but the episode ends with the heroes. They return to the rebel base on Lothal. Hera is devastated. Ezra actually hugs Zeb, which was a pretty cool moment. Sabine is just furious. In a very kind of touching moment, Chopper, who's kind of like this normally a jerk, goes up to Hera and like holds her hand with his little stubby arm, which I thought was a kind of touching moment. I really like the ending for this episode. What did you think?
I thought it was a good fitting end, that's for sure. It was nice how it ended, and it kind of ended on a dark note. Like, he kind of well, not dark, but like on a note where like you're like, yeah, that was how that was gonna end.
Good episode, but honestly, I mean, I don't think we've seen the last of the dead heroes for this season, though.
No. This is only the beginning.
I've been beating this drum for quite a while, and I think we're going to be seeing more dead heroes before.
I agree,
and I don't think that's, and honestly, I don't think that's really a mind-blowing prediction to make at this point, because
it's not, because again, like I've said it before, is how bad things are on Lothal. Yeah, the longer they stay in there, the more likely they're.
But here's my other thing: like, you can't have Jedi running around while Luke Skywalker is having his adventures in the original trilogy. This is all before the original trilogy starts.
Isn't he still a kid right now?
What?
Isn't Luke Skywalker still a kid right now?
He's probably like 17 years old.
But I mean, we saw in the third season when Darth Maul came back?
Yeah.
Luke was still a kid, right?
We didn't really see Luke. We only saw his figure off in a Leia, no, because we saw Leia, and when we saw Leia, she was 16.
She was a teenager. You're right.
And they're twins, remember? So yeah, he's a kid, but he's like 17 at this point.
Yeah, you're right.
He's an adolescent teen. He's so however you want to ascribe the term kid, yes, but he's presumably gone through puberty and all that. He's 17 years old, and he's still living on Tatooine. My point is, we can't have Ezra we can't have Ezra and Kanan in the Rebel Alliance while Luke is in there too, because you can't. How do you justify Luke not meeting and working with them? You know what I mean? That's why, and that is why Kanan and Ezra both have to die. Because what happened in the second season? Ahsoka, remember Ahsoka? Where's she? Ahsoka's dead.
We never saw her body though, right?
What do you think happened? You think she's still alive?
I'm just saying she could have a Force ghost.
Yeah, but I mean that's yeah, but I mean Obi-Wan has a Force ghost. Do you consider him still alive?
Listen to the stuff he get, like what Yoda did in friggin' Last Jedi, so the kid's pretty damn
right,
still
but
alive.
He's still dead. He's a ghost. Even if you're a ghost, you're still dead, Jay. Come on.
Fair enough.
All right. So that was the end of the 69th episode, the 10th episode of season 4, Jedi Knight, and we go to our second episode that aired the same night. This is Doom, D-U-M-E, because that is Kanan's real name. His real name is Caleb Doom, D-U-M-E. So they're back at the Rebel base. Hera is still devastated after losing Kanan. She doesn't really know what to do. Sabine and Zeb, they're furious, and they want revenge, man. They want retribution for losing Kanan. So they go off.
And it doesn't help that the Empire is doing the parade going, yay, we killed the Jedi. That doesn't help.
Right. So basically, she actually massively screwed up by blowing up the fuel depot in the last episode, because that fuel depot was necessary for the whole production of Thrawn's TIE Defender line. So it messes up the Empire's plans, it messes up Thrawn's plans. So Price is like, okay, I'm going to hide my screw up by throwing a parade and celebrating our victory of killing Kanan. And as you said, it's kind of like they're celebrating the death of Kanan, and Sabine and Zeb are massively ticked off.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we don't think so.
Right. So they go off on a mission to get some retribution and some payback for Kanan.
Even though I want to say it's like either Ezra or Hera say, yeah, you guys. I think Ezra says you shouldn't do that. Don't go there. Bad idea. Danger.
I think that was kind of. I don't remember if they said that, but that's kind of the feeling I had, was that they shouldn't have done that, because they're doing it out of anger, and and when you attack out of anger, you're likely to make mistakes. But Kanan is gone. Hera is lost, and Ezra is not doing much better.
No, he's not.
And Ezra is stalked by those Loth wolves. Oh man, I got to be honest. The Loth wolves are getting really annoying right now.
I don't think so. I think they are awesome. I loved them on this episode.
Like the first couple times I thought they were cool. Now I can't stand them, because now they're just being okay. Like now you're just being annoying. You're not being helpful. You're being annoying, because they stalk Kanan. They act like they're gonna tear him to shreds, and they chase him, and then he goes into this dreamlike state where he talks to this giant wolf who talks to him, and he's like, fight together. I don't know. I have no idea what this wolf was trying to say. What do you think of this wolf?
I think this wolf was really cool because it brought Ezra back to focus, and it and kind of brought him back to where he needs to be to keep on going, and it's trying to bring the message of what you need to keep pressing on. You can't give up. I know you want to. I know you're broken. I know you're hurt, but you can't give up. You have to keep pushing on. All right. Well, I think that's what he's. So he's kind of like he was it was originally a guide for Kanan. It's being a little guide for Ezra.
I didn't like. I feel like they're kind of hammering the wolves a little too much.
I like that.
Thrawn, as we talked about, Thrawn is furious with Price. So now we have some dissension in the ranks here, because Thrawn is off planet and he talks to Price, and he's like, "You're trying to hide your screw up here by throwing a parade. You destroyed our factory and fuel depot, so now we have no fuel to build our TIEs." That stuff's very interesting to me. So,
and wasn't he afraid too that Palpatine was going to cut off his program now or something like that?
I think that's the assumed fear, is because now that they have no fuel on the planet to build them, now that puts his whole plan in jeopardy, basically. Mm-hmm. All that to me is very interesting, kind of like this idea that there's dissension in the ranks of the Imperial officers, and there's kind of backstabbing, and they're kind of plotting against each other. All that's very interesting to me. Thrawn has been one of the best characters since he came onto the show. So I love all the development with Thrawn. So not looking good for Governor Pryce. So I have a feeling she'll get her comeuppance before the end of the show, at least.
Maybe. I just wonder how. Like, will she just be disbarred, or will she be killed? I wonder.
I think she'll like probably. I think that dome is gonna they're gonna launch that big dome and it's gonna blow up or something, and she'll be on it maybe.
Maybe just Palpatine will kill her. Who knows?
Wouldn't surprise me if Palpatine.
He's gonna show up a bit, and later.
I think he's showing up in tonight's episodes. Honestly.
Oh really?
Based on the images, I think he is going to. I don't think Palpatine's gonna. I think Thrawn or the heroes are more likely to kill her, but that's just.
I think Thrawn is actually the most likely culprit if I really think about it.
Is what?
Especially if she costs him the program, he's going to kill her himself. He'll do it.
Yeah, I think that may not happen, but I think that's a possible scenario. But I mean, we'll see when we see tonight's episodes.
She's on thin ice already, and that would
she's on very. You're right. She's on very thin ice. Okay, so the other major development was so Zeb and Sabine, they're trying to go and get some revenge on the Empire for what happened to Kanan. They go first. Sabine uses one of her bombs and kills some scout troopers. She draws out Thrawn's kind of like mercenary.
I can't remember what his name is.
His name is Rook, and he's voiced by the actor Warwick Davis.
I love that so much. Yeah, because it sounds nothing like him. It's such a great voice.
Yeah, it is a great voice. So they draw out Rook, and they get into this big fight with Rook, and Rook tries to use that cloaking device, but they're ultimately able to. They mark him with Sabine's paint, and they're able to get the better of him. And then Zeb just goes nuts, and he starts wailing on Rook, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill you for what you did to Kanan." And then Sabine's like, "No, stop. This isn't right. This isn't what Kanan would have wanted." So they, revenge is not the Jedi way. And even though they're not Jedi, they know that that killing someone for revenge is not what Kanan would have wanted. Right, Jay?
True.
So they try to attack out of anger and revenge, and then they pull back and they realize that was the wrong thing. But they discover they realize what Thrawn already realized, that they won. They got a win of sorts by making Pryce blow up their own fuel. So basically they accomplished what the Rebel Alliance was trying to do originally. In a way, even though Kanan sacrificed himself, they did destroy their fuel lines. So that's very important. That's very important for the rebels. So Zeb and Sabine, they relay that news to the grieving Hera, who added a charm to her Calicori doll to represent Kanan. Now, here's the thing: the Calicori doll represents her family history, so it's very significant to tell Kanan's part of her family story. So basically, it's like she acknowledges her lover, Kanan, as part of her family unit. So that was interesting. So now at least that news kind of gave Hera some renewed strength to get back into the fight at the end. What do you think about that?
It was kind of nice to see her kind of like come full around and kind of like go, okay, time to fight again. So that was kind of cool that she kind of, because she was probably, her and Ezra, the two got hit the worst. And see them both kind of come full circle and be okay, we have to keep going on because that's what Kanan would want. So that was
obviously. And then Ezra, the message he got from the wolves is to search a Jedi temple, and Ezra comes back with this tablet like, we have to search the Jedi temple on Lothal, and that will have I guess that's going to be the key to saving Lothal. So we only have 5 more episodes left. Interestingly enough, this week on Friday, I will be at the Disney Studios lot, and I will be attending a live premiere of the series finale of Star Wars Rebels. So, and that will be the last 3 episodes, and there will be a cast and crew Q&A. I'm very excited.
Nice.
So this is very.
You should try to do that for here, because that'd be great to have that live here. For our viewers.
We won't be able. We'll be able to talk about that, but I can't. We won't be able to shoot anything live, but we'll be recapping that for sure.
Well, I mean, maybe the Q&A. Just a thought.
I'll try to get some video footage if they allow it. I haven't been told yet. Like, I'm sure they'll let me take some photographs and we'll be sharing that on social media and what have you. Okay. But how have you been liking this season? I think this has been a lot better than season 3 overall.
I don't know, because the problem with this season is.
The problem is
that this season, it's going to end on a bad note, whereas like the other seasons haven't ever really ended on this, dire of a note before. Not really.
Season 2 ended on a pretty dire note.
But still not as dire as this. Like, this is where there's going to be most of the cast is probably
the show's ending. So, I mean, you have to...
Yeah, but most of the characters are probably going to die. That's what you know is going to happen somehow,
We know 2 characters who aren't going to die.
True. But that's only 2 out of a lot more than, out of a pretty good sized crew. So.
All right. Well, look. I mean, look. I think if the hero, but it's going to be probably a bittersweet ending, Jay. But I mean, if the heroes die in a way where they sacrifice themselves to save Ezra's home, that's kind of a good thing. And ultimately, look. This isn't going to be the end of the Galactic Civil War because we have 3 whole movies, or I guess 4 whole movies because of Rogue One. Because all this is still before Rogue One. We know the Rebel Alliance will prevail ultimately. So
true.
This is the group of heroes that inspired the whole Rebel Alliance. Really, if you think about it. It all started with this little group of just a handful of people, and it grew into a whole alliance who defeated the Empire. And I think that's pretty, even though that's a little sad that we're going to see them go away, I think that's pretty inspiring in the long run. So here's to Star Wars Rebels, and looking forward to the rest of the season, even though Jay is not happy with this season and does not like it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, not true. Lies and slander.
Just having a little fun at your expense there. Yeah. But good action and everything, I think, and so far, and some pretty dramatic moments. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so now we're moving on to some movie discussion. Now that we've finished the Star Wars talk, so we had the 2 new movies that got pretty much curb stomped by Black Panther last Friday were Game Night and the sci-fi movie Annihilation from Alex Garland, starring Natalie Portman. What do you want to do first, Game Night or?
I want to do Annihilation first. Annihilation. There's a lot more to say about Annihilation.
Okay, so this is Annihilation. Is the new movie? It's I think written and directed by Alex Garland, who did Ex Machina. He's done a bunch of films. Let's see. It stars Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Gina Rodriguez, Tessa Thompson from Thor Ragnarok, and Oscar Isaac.
Yes.
And it's based on the book of the same name by Jeff Vandermeer. So,
yes, it's the first one of the Southern Reach trilogy.
Right.
And
so have you read all these books?
Only the first one. I did get a review copy of the book, and I read it before I saw it.
The book is fairly recent too. It's not like an old book.
Yeah, but so what I want to do here is I kind of want to do really what I'm going to do here is because I've read the book and I've seen the movie, right?
Right.
And that hasn't happened every day with me with movies. It just hasn't that are based on books. All so right. I want to talk about kind of similarities and differences is between the two is what I really kind of want to do.
Try not to get too I don't think we want to get too spoilery into this.
I'm not going to get spoilery. I'm not going to get spoilery. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to begin. So what happens is So the book is actually only like 6-7 chapters. It's not even that long of a book. It's like 200 pages, right?
The book is only 208. That's basically like a novella.
Yes, and the book starts off where
what's the basic premise?
The basic premise of the book is they all go on this expedition, a biologist, a surveyor, a anthropologist, and a psychologist. And you never hear their names. They always just go by those 4 things of what their specialty is.
Right.
And they go into this place called Area X, where there's weird happenings going on. Expeditions have gone before them. They believe I think 11 expeditions have gone before them, and the biologist's husband was in the expedition before her. And before that, no one had ever really come back for a long time. And her husband supposedly did come back, but he wasn't the same. And in 6 weeks he dies of cancer. So it was that whole thing there. And it delves really deep into the perspective of the biologist. It's mainly what the book is. The biologist, going into Area X, discovering Area X, exploring Area X, seeing all these weird things in Area X, and there's 2 places that are landmarks in Area X. There's a tower that had never been there before, but was there for their expedition supposedly. And there's the lighthouse, which you do see in the movie. But as the book goes along, you find out that one of the people in the expedition, I won't say who, is supposedly controlling the others, and the biologist has something happen where she can't be controlled anymore. So it's a very different book from the movie for starters. The book is actually
what is Area X supposed to be?
It's just supposed to be a place where for some reason all these weird strange happenings are going on, with different animals and
unexplained phenomenon.
Yes, basically is what Area X is.
Okay.
And as the book progresses, the biologist finds out, hey, there's more than they've been told here. There's more going on here than they thought. And there's all kinds of dangers here, and all that stuff. But it's only 4 people. That's what it is. It's just the 4 people in the book. We learn a bit about the history of the biologist, where, she supposedly, when she was with her husband before he went to the expedition.
Portman. In the movie, it's Natalie Portman.
Yes.
Her character actually has a name in the film. She plays
Lena.
Yes,
they all do. And and then in the book, it talks about where her and her husband weren't getting along for a good while, and him going to the expedition before her was kind of the straw on that broke the camel's back, because he couldn't tell her anything about what he was doing, right?
Right.
But he doesn't have that big of a role. He's only there for a little bit, and that's it,
Okay.
So that's the basic gist of the book, and the movie really reminds me. Have you seen the movie version of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein? Have you seen that?
Yeah. Well, which one?
The one that Kenneth Branagh directed.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
This movie is a lot like that.
Wow.
In the sense that they took the basic backbone of the book, but then they just kind of did what the heck they wanted. That's right. What they did. First of all, they made it 5.
They took a lot of creative license.
Yeah. First of all, they took 5. They have 5 people in the expedition, not 4. Oscar Isaac's character has a much bigger role than he ever did in the book. They all have names. The tower doesn't even exist.
Right.
And really, the only good thing about this movie I can say is the visuals were good. That's about it.
Is it because the original Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, it's in the perspective of this sort of Arctic expedition, and they find Dr. Frankenstein there, and he's kind of recounting the whole story in a letter?
No, the reason I use that as an example is because that's another movie where you can if you've read the book, which I have.
Yeah.
You can see that there's very little of the book actually there.
Okay.
That's why I use an example, because Annihilation is a lot like that. There's parts that was sort of in the book, but not much.
Did you like the movie at all?
No, not really. I hated it.
You hated them. So is there anything redeeming about it at all in terms of presentation, performance, direction, visuals? And
the visuals were good, but that's about it. I mean, it just you're this is not really the book at all.
Are there monsters in this movie?
There's a few kind of different creatures, but I wouldn't really necessarily call them monsters per se. I mean, I don't know.
Are they plant creatures? What are they?
There's one where there's a they come in against a giant crocodile or alligator that's got more teeth than a normal crocodile. They have one part where they go against this really weird giant monster thing that can do a human scream at one of the person's voices. It's just.
Did you think it was better than the Cloverfield Paradox? Did you see that?
I haven't seen that. No.
Okay.
But it was 10 Cloverfield Lane was a little bit better than this. Not much, but just a little bit.
So you didn't like Natalie Portman or any of the performers in this film at all?
It's not any of their fault. They just this was just a movie that literally the director went, oh, this is based on a book. That's nice. And just threw the book over his shoulder because it's it's got so little to do with the movie. You're like, this is not the book. This is you took the very basic little backbone of the book and did whatever the heck you wanted with the story because
oh my god,
yeah, the husband is an extremely bigger role than he was in the first one, and like I said, them all getting names was weird. They go into a lot more backstory. They go into all this stuff that just you're she did. It was just this is and it was 2 hours. It was a 2-hour film almost. This does not need to be 2 hours.
Okay,
it's been 1:30 easily. So. It just, I really was just left going, God, the book was 100 times better. And the book, honestly, it's an all right book. It's not a book I'd say
the book is would you recommend the book at least?
The book, I don't know if I'd recommend it, but I would say it was an all right book. It's a book that I read. You know what?
Did you ever read the book for The Martian?
I haven't, no.
But that was based on a book, I believe.
You're right. It was, and
an online novel, and then they made the movie. The movie was really good.
Yeah, I love the movie, but I haven't read the book. But I've heard the book is good. But this was just this was awfully atrociously awful.
All right, so not a recommendation for you. So the next one we're going to get into that came out last Friday was Game Night, starring Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams. Both very good actors, I think. This one was directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, as I recall. Right, this was directed by the writers of Spider-Man: Homecoming. How do you like that?
Horrible Bosses, I thought.
Did they do Horrible Bosses?
Or the director, or something like that.
They might have written.
Because that's what they said. They said from the people who did Horrible Bosses. That's what they said.
They wrote Horrible Bosses, and they co-wrote Horrible Bosses and Horrible Bosses 2. Horrible Bosses is a good movie. Horrible Bosses 2 is awful tripe.
I agree. Not as good as the first one. No.
Yeah. So
this movie to me had a good concept, but this was another comedy to me that tried way too hard to be funny. And I don't like comedies like that. I don't like comedies that are trying so hard to be funny. It's just they're just trying to be gross, trying to be disgusting. They're trying to be more and more ridiculous and off the wall. And
so before you dive into this is a film about a group of friends whose game night turns into a real life murder mystery. So you have, I guess, these couples, and they get caught up into a game night that turns into an actual murder mystery, I guess.
Well, before that, Jason Bateman's character and Rachel McAdams' character meet because they're both really competitive.
Right.
And they meet in a bar, with some quiz something, and they fall in love.
Okay.
And they love game night because they're so competitive. They love to win at everything. They hate to lose, right?
Right.
And there's a neighbor who wants to play with them that they are kind of creeped out by. And there's the brother who is insanely rich. And
what do they do outside of game night? Does it even say?
I don't remember. I think it's just basically around the weekly game they do every week. I think
okay.
It is. And there's the one guy.
Are they so competitive that the other couples hate them for it? Is that what it is?
I wouldn't say that. Okay. It's just he doesn't like his brother because his brother, he thinks, is so much better off because he's richer and all that stuff and has a nice car and all that crap, right? And he doesn't.
Right.
So there's that. And just this movie reminded me a lot of comedies like Daddy's Home 2, where it just tries way too hard to be funny the whole way throughout.
So it's not very funny is what you're saying.
I didn't think it was funny. There were people laughing when I saw it, but I was just this isn't funny. This is just you're trying way too hard to be funny, and therefore, to me, it's not funny. That's how I saw it.
So I mean, again, we have some really good, talented actors here, but they just does their chemistry not work, or what?
No, it's not the chemistry. The chemistry isn't bad. Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams are not bad characters together. They're not.
Right.
There's one or two twists and turns that aren't too bad. You're like, oh, okay, that was kind of cool, but
okay.
In a nutshell, for me, it was just like it was a movie that tried way too hard to be funny because like a comedy to me not only doesn't have to try that hard, but a really important thing with comedies for me is like have heart in there. If there's like actual like genuine heart in there or genuine emotion, it can be a good movie. Like The Wedding Singer or like Bad Moms or something like that.
I like
movies,
Wedding Singer.
I do too. But that's because those movies have heart at their soul.
That was when Adam Sandler, I think, made genuinely funny movies.
Yeah, I agree. But my point is, they're like comedies like that where it's like, hey, you know what? You can actually like feel for the characters. You actually like the characters, you like what they're going through. You can understand what they're going through. You want to root for them. And this movie's just not like that. I mean, like, characters aren't bad. They're not bad characters, but
like
they're not as strong as they could be.
Here's an example. Like
they have both done characters in movies that are much stronger, much more rootable, and much more relatable than this.
You ever see About Time?
I did.
That's another one with not more of a romantic kind of
comedy. She was great in that one. Yeah, she was great in that movie.
That's a movie that had a lot of heart that I really liked.
She was great in that movie. She was great.
Yeah,
like Jason
Bateman, Dom Hall Gleason in that movie too.
Yeah, I mean, heck,
Jason Bateman in Horrible Bosses, I really liked.
Yeah, he was great in that. So they're not bad actors.
Then the sequel messed it all up.
Yeah, I agree. But my point is, like, they're not bad actors. They just like I don't know if they were given as much to do in this because it just was. It was mainly
the characters not likable?
It was mainly a try way too hard to be funny movie. There's a part, for God's sakes, where Jason Bateman cuts himself something. He starts bleeding and he bleeds all over the dog. And then the dog shakes and bleeds and spews the blood all over the wall. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's not funny. That's disgusting. What's wrong with you?
Didn't they shoot the dog or something?
No, they didn't.
Or they thought they shot it, or I don't know.
No, he did. What happens in the movie is he like cuts his elbow or something, and he notices it's bleeding, and it gets on the dog, and he tries to get it off with a rag first, and it's not coming off. Then the dog shakes, and he's in like the guy's house who like is kind of a creepy neighbor anyway. And it's like this like shrine to like his like wife he's no longer with, and the dog he shakes and blood goes all over the wall. You're like, Jesus Christ, like that's not funny. That's disgusting. I'm sorry, I don't find that funny.
Are the characters unlikable or what?
It's just not that strong of a story overall. It's just like it's a try too hard to be funny. Could have been good concept, but just not good story. It's just what it is, sadly.
Well, it didn't like bomb, but it didn't do that great either. But
no, it really didn't.
So that's game night. Yeah. So my film is not out yet. It is a new film called Red Sparrow.
Yeah.
Directed by Francis Lawrence and starring Academy Award winner and movie star Jennifer Lawrence. Mm. Also stars Joel Edgerton, who I really like.
He was good. He was good and bright.
Yeah. Which I thought was a much better film. So this is kind of like a spy thriller.
Mm.
It's almost entirely set in Russia. Mm. So you have Jennifer Lawrence. She plays she's a ballerina actually named a ballet dancer named Dominika Egorova. She's Russian and she's doing a Russian accent the whole time. Mm. So at the beginning of the movie, she's this Russian dancer. Her mother is sort of sick and suffering, I guess from like either a partial paralysis or muscle disorder. She needs like a stay-at-home nurse and she needs help moving around. And at the beginning of the movie, her dance partner by accident brutally breaks her leg, and her uncle basically kind of. What does that sound? Just a weird feedback sound for a bit there. Sorry about that technical issue. And so she's recruited by her own uncle into this secret spy program called, the Sparrow program. And she's hired to, inform on enemies of the state and who I guess the Russian intelligence department have vested interest in. There's, I guess, there's a mole in Russian intelligence, and then there's an American spy who works for the CIA, played by Joel Edgerton, who his character's name is Nathaniel Nash. So basically, Lawrence, she's trained into this sort of very clandestine, very brutal spy program for the Russians to expose this mole in Russian intelligence. Not a very good film, honestly.
Yeah, I was supposed to this one, and I was like, nope, I'm going to do something else instead. It sounds like it was a good decision.
It's not very good. So here's, I guess, the best way for me to describe this. Like, think about Black Widow in the Avengers movies. Think about like her backstory and her origin, and think of like that kind of done in the style of The Bourne Identity. And that's basically what this movie is. It's sort of like the Black Widow origin story, just done very gritty and realistic, like the Bourne films.
And I hate to say it, Jennifer Lawrence is hit or miss these days. She's not.
I agree.
Yeah,
she was very underwhelming in this movie. She's supposed to be this sort of Russian, this young Russian woman. She's not her accent is not believable because you have Russians speaking English the whole time, and that kind of takes you out a little bit. You know what I mean? Her accent is never really believable to me as a Russian character, that she's supposed to be Russian, and it kind of takes you out of the movie a little bit. I will say the movie, there's a lot of really uncomfortable, disturbing scenes in the movie, and I think Francis Lawrence did an okay job at presenting, really unsettling, disturbing scenes in that way. Kind of, there's a lot of I don't want to get into too much. There's a lot of graphic scenes in this movie that are very disturbing, and things of that nature. Scenes that mix sexuality and violence, and also rape. So there's quite a bit of that in this movie, and it's not. I mean, I'm not saying like you should never show those things in films, but it's just like after a while, I feel like they do a bit.
Did it come off as like forced or something? Is that what happened?
Not I wouldn't say it was forced, but I feel like they put in a bit too much of it. And here's the other thing: the plot twists are kind of telegraphed. They're not very good. This is kind of like one of those twisty turny kind of like spy films, but all of the kind of twists and turns are basically kind of predictable and kind of telegraphed, as in they're kind of like you can kind of see them coming. You know what I mean? Like, when they're about to do a big plot twist, but like you already know what the plot twist is going to be. Like if you've been paying attention, and that kind of makes it a bit of a weak, unsurprising film. And I think I will say Joel Edgerton was kind of the best thing about the movie, but I mean, I guess if you're really anti-Russian right now, maybe this would be a movie you might be interested in, because it won't give you a very high opinion of Russia and their intelligence department after this film. They're the big bad guys of this film. Russia, the Russian government, and the Russian intelligence network. So yeah. I just it's hard for me to buy kind of. I'm not saying actors can't do this, but when you have all these, British or American actors, and they're supposed to be Russian, and they're talking in these really really stagey kind of fake Russian accent, it doesn't work for me. You know what I mean? I don't think to me, none of the major roles are even played, I think, by Russian actors, which kind of doesn't work for me. The thing that's really disturbing is there is this kind of really, like, one of the bad guys is Matthias. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. Schoenartz. He plays Dominica's uncle, Ivan, so the uncle of Jennifer Lawrence's character. And there's this really weird, creepy, disturbing aspect to their relationship, without giving away too much. and it's really creepy. It's really like I didn't like it. I mean, if you like Jennifer Lawrence and spy thrillers, maybe go see it, but I didn't really care for it. So that's Red Sparrow.
No need to go rush and see that one either, huh?
I would say don't go rush out to see it. It's not very good.
Yeah, see Black Panther instead.
Yes, go see Black Panther again. See something good. I would you know what? I would recommend Peter Rabbit over this film, and I really
Early Man would be better than this.
I really didn't like Peter Rabbit
because Early Man was better than Peter Rabbit.
Yeah, go see Early Man. All right, so this concludes our movie section of the show. Also, really quick, before we're going to get into some TV stuff. So we had the mid-season return of The Tick on Amazon, so we got a whole other set of episodes. So not a lot of people have been talking about The Tick, but I think it's a great show, and at least we're guaranteed a second season. Peter Serafinowicz he's fantastic as the Tick. Griffin Newman is great as Arthur. His journey kind of comes full circle this season, I guess with the rest of the season. They really open up this whole world that they're in with all, with these superheroes and superpowered characters and the villain, the Terror. Jackie Earle Haley, he is fantastic as the Terror. He has some very fun layers. Alan Tudyk is the voice of a boat. He's the AI. He's basically like it's kind of a lot like his droid character from Rogue One. He plays a boat called Danger Boat who wants to be like an EDM DJ, which is great. He has a fun relationship with Arthur.
Yes.
Just a lot. Okay. Who's my favorite? Overkill is my favorite character in this show. Who plays Overkill? Scott Spicer. This character is great. He's kind of like Lego Batman meets Zack Snyder's Batman from the DC movies, played by Ben Affleck. It's hilarious. Right. He's kind of like a send up of like dark, brooding loner heroes. Lots of great stuff. So if you have time, and if you have an Amazon Prime account, watch the whole season of The Tick. We got the whole season out now, and we're going to get a season 2. All right. So moving on from there, so we have some TV news. So what is going on with Muppet Babies that you wanted to bring up?
Well, they did announce now. They've actually announced the release date for it now. So Muppet Babies is coming to Disney Junior on Friday. I believe it's Friday the 23rd.
This is the ultimate reboot. It's the reboot Jay's been waiting 25 years for, right?
So it's coming now. So they actually have a release date for it. Now it's March. It's March 23rd. March 23rd. That's big news right there.
To coincide with our WonderCon trip.
And it's going to start with 2 episodes. So they do 2. They're going to 2 episodes. Is like the first 2 are going to be back to back that day. And they're going to have 2 episodes each. So it's going to be like a cartoon of 2 10-minute episodes each. So that's kind of cool.
And we're going to get the baby Summer, who is the new Muppet Baby, who's a penguin. I'm actually this is interesting. To go off of that, I'm going to be interesting Dave Goelz, the original voice and Muppeteer for Gonzo, because they have a new documentary called Muppet Guys Talking, which he's in. Him, Frank Oz, the original Miss Piggy, and some of the other Muppeteers. So that's very exciting for me.
And a bit of a Muppet tangent. Did we talk about this last week? They're talking about they're going to do a new Muppet show on the streaming service now.
Oh, right. Yeah. So basically for more Muppet news, so Disney is launching their new streaming service next year. They are going to do another TV reboot of the Muppets. Do you remember the 2016 show, the sitcom?
I do, yes.
I thought that was a really good underrated show. It only was on for 1 season, but I loved it. I love that show.
Like I've said before, it wasn't bad, but it kind of just couldn't find its footing, sadly. It had potential.
I think it did in the first half, but then they tried to change it and fix it in the second half of the season, and that's when I think it started going bad. Well, not bad, but I think that's when that did hurt the show ultimately.
Yeah, and then other news we got. first we have Voltron Legendary Defender is coming season 5 now. It's coming to Netflix on Friday.
That is right.
And it's only got 6 episodes, but yeah, that's coming.
I don't like the way they've been breaking up these seasons.
Well, they're stretching it out. We've talked about this before.
But we are getting we're getting new episodes. And look, Voltron is a good show.
Yeah, I agree.
I did see the new clip of Hunk and Pidge. They're goofing around with a robot and they're making it set off firecrackers. That was funny. So I imagine it looks like we're going to get more of Lotor. Because I guess now where we left off, Lotor kind of turned himself into the Voltron Force.
Because his dad wanted to kill him, pretty much.
Yeah. So that's so that premieres this Friday, March 2nd, right?
And then that next Friday, Trolls, The Beat Goes On comes on.
Your favorite show?
2. It's not my favorite, but I like it. But that's coming on the next Friday, the 9th, also on Netflix. And then more
Tick,
Netflix TV.
Why aren't you watching The Tick, Jay?
I just haven't had a chance to.
will you do me a favor and please watch The Tick at some point?
When I have the time.
Okay, when you have the time, if you make a concerted effort, I will try and watch Trolls, The Beat Goes On. How does that sound?
And then we
Answer my question. How does that sound?
Like I said, if I have the time, but I'm working 10 hours.
No. How if you watch The Tick, I'll watch Troll, The Beat Goes On. How does that sound?
Good, but would you actually get through it?
I'll get through a couple episodes. I can do that.
Okay, so sounds good to me. And then of course on I believe it's March 8th, we're gonna have the next season of Jessica Jones. That's coming on Netflix as well.
Yeah, to coincide with International Women's Day. Yeah.
So that's coming on. That's gonna be really huge.
We've known about that though.
True. And then another show I'm excited for.
We get a new trailer for Jessica Jones that looked really good. Go ahead.
And then I'm really excited too. More Netflix news is because I watched the first season finally. Is a Series of Unfortunate Events season 2. I can't wait for that. At the end of the month, March 30th. I can't wait. I love that first season so much. It was so much better than the movie in every way. Neil Patrick Harris is great as the character. It goes into more dimensions and areas than the movie ever could. So I cannot wait for you.
So also right around the corner for Netflix is their TV reboot of Lost in Space.
Yes.
Because another TV reboot. Why not? I mean, they're rebooting Muppet Babies, so why not reboot Lost in Space, the 1965 TV series? So that premieres April 13th. We got our first teaser trailer. So basically the trailer kind of shows the whole family and the main cast going into a spaceship, and they're kind of all together and before they get lost in space. So you seem to be pretty excited about this show.
I think it's got potential. It could be interesting. I mean, Netflix usually knows what they're doing with their shows. Usually, I mean, not always, but they've had some good stuff. So I think they'll do good by it. But we'll see. Right?
Have you watched Mute or Altered Carbon yet?
I haven't had a chance to. I've heard mixed things about
Carbon. I think Altered Carbon pretty good. Mute, no.
I've heard mixed things about Altered Carbon, but
Altered Carbon is flawed. It's not perfect. Let me get this straight. It's no Stranger Things.
Okay.
But I think it's a pretty watchable show. With some interesting stuff.
We got that, and
so Lost in Space premieres on April 13th.
And also some news I'm excited for is they are bringing Roseanne back too the end of March.
Well, we've known about Roseanne for a while, but why are you so excited about Roseanne coming back?
Because I love the original show, and the new show is going to be fun.
Why do we want to see Roseanne again? Like, why
not?
I mean, do you like Fuller House? I mean,
no, but Fuller House is different.
Why is it different? Because to me, it's kind of like another kind of like 80s, 90s sitcom. I just don't.
Because Fuller House, just like Full House, is trying to be perfect. With Roseanne.
Is it because Roseanne they're more dysfunctional? Is that what it is?
They're just, I wouldn't use the word dysfunctional. I'd just say imperfect. Like, they're not the perfect family, but they still love each other and try to get along the best they can, and all that stuff, right?
I guess.
That's why I like the show better, because Full House was so sickeningly sweet. There are times like, all right, that's enough with the ahs and the oohs and the enough. And Fuller House is just trying to be that, but worse, because they're trying to stretch that show out. So no, Roseanne, looks like it's going to do the reboot right. Now, will it be good? We'll see, but I'm excited for it.
But didn't Dan die?
Well, not on this show.
I'm John Goodman's actually coming back, right?
Yes, correct.
Didn't his character die in the original series?
You have to watch the show to find out.
I mean, is Laurie Metcalf at least coming back, or?
Yeah, they both are. Both Beckys are.
All right, but Johnny Galecki is 42 years old now. Is he still going to play David?
I don't think so. I'm not sure, to be honest. But they will have.
Did David marry Darlene, or what?
I'm not sure.
What's going to happen there?
I don't know, because we've got Darlene on there. She's got 2 kids now. We see DJ. He has a kid now. And we see both of the Beckys, which they worked that out because one of them is the actual original Becky, and then the other one is a girl who wants to use that Becky to have a kid with her husband, and they're going to pay her to be a surrogate. So that's how that works out.
What?
Yes.
That's insane.
Well, that's how it works out. What can I say?
What?
And Laurie Metcalf is going to be back.
When is season 10? This is season 10.
I think it's at the end of March. Like, March 27th.
March 27th. It premieres on March 27th. So, you know what, fans of Roseanne, have at it. Jay, have at it. Enjoy your new season of Roseanne.
Is there any other shows I'm forgetting?
Well, we know that season 2 is happening for The Punisher, and Deadline had some news on the upcoming season 2. So we have 3 new characters or cast members that were announced. We have Josh Stewart from Shooter, Floriana Lima from Supergirl, and Georgia Wigham from Scream will be appearing on season 2 on Netflix. And to keep with the Netflix, okay. Stewart plays John Pilgrim. Lima plays Krista Dumont, a psychotherapist for military veterans. So I guess Frank the Punisher will be visiting like a psychotherapist for his trauma. And Wigham plays someone named Amy Bendix, a street smart grifter with a mysterious past. So at least we know season 2 is coming along. We don't know when it's premiering, but they're working on it. And also the news included that besides Bernthal, Amber Rose Riva is coming back as Dina Madani. Ben Barnes is coming back as Billy Russo. So despite what happened to him in the first season, he's coming back. Curtis Hoyle is coming back. Jason Armour as Curtis Hoyle is coming. All right, so we're getting some casting news. So I mean, I'm glad Punisher is coming back. So yeah.
I just wonder what they're gonna do with the second season still. But how the first one ended, you're like, now what are you guys gonna do?
I'm very curious about. I guess we're gonna, just like with Roseanne, we're just gonna have to watch and find out, right?
But like most of the Marvel shows, when they end, like the first season, there's gonna be a second, and it makes sense where they'll go next.
Well, we're gonna have.
They're doing a show where you're like, and
Jay, honestly, we're gonna have to watch and find out.
And honestly, Punisher was all right, but they've had better shows than Punisher.
Well, we're gonna have to watch and see. I'm glad they're making another season. It was better than the first season of Iron Fist. I'll say that.
Yeah, but almost anything's better than that. I mean, good God, the only thing worse than that was Inhumans.
All right.
And they're doing a second season of that somehow. I don't know how they're doing that. The second
season of Agent Carter was not very good.
I beg to differ.
I don't think it was a good season. First season was amazing. Second season was not.
They need to bring that show back. Now that their show Lawless got canceled, do another season of that.
Whatever.
I demand it.
I'm just saying the second season of Agent Carter was among the some of Marvel's lesser TV work.
I still think
also, this is kind of different. Kevin Smith.
Oh yeah, I heard.
This happened today. Writer-director Kevin Smith had a massive heart attack. He is okay. He's apparently recovering. So this happened. This happened just earlier today. He's on Twitter, so he's tweeting. So apparently even though he's in the hospital after a massive heart attack, he's doing well enough to tweet. He had 100% blockage of his LAD artery.
Jeez.
If I hadn't canceled show to go to the hospital, I would have died tonight. But for now, I'm still above ground.
Thank God.
So, man, I hope he's going to be okay here. Look, Kevin Smith, the man is the man's a legend. Clerks is an amazing film.
He's a nice guy. I've met him like twice. He's a great dude.
I mean, he didn't he do a recent episode of The Flash too?
He's directed The Flash. I want to say Supergirl. Right. He's directed a few of those.
He hasn't been as active. He's been doing more lately. He's been doing like more podcasts and like his kind of.
And he directed, stuff. I believe, 2 episodes of the Goldbergs. I believe.
Right. He hasn't been as active with the film world anymore. But now he's been more. He's done some TV work, and he's doing he was doing more podcasting and YouTubing. And live touring and things like that.
Yeah, he sold most of the rights to most of his films.
He also lost a lot of weight too.
True, but he wanted to do a Mallrats sequel. He sold the rights to that, and like Clerks and all that.
Talk about Clerks 3. I don't think that ever got off the ground.
I don't know if he's still doing that one, but most of them he wanted to do sequels to. He sold them off the rights, so I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
I'd rather not see a sequel to Mallrats this far. Because the original came out, we're over 20 years removed from the original. I'd kind of rather they not do it. Clerks 2, I kind of like Clerks 2. I thought was okay. I'd rather they not do Clerks 3. Man, Kevin Smith, I hope you're doing okay, and I hope you make a full recovery, please. So, whether it means anything or not, I definitely send my thoughts and prayers to Kevin Smith. So, I don't care what you believe or anything, but Kevin Smith, I mean, for all intents and purposes, is a great stand-up guy. He's been a great supporter of the fan community, and he
loves his fans. He really does.
He loves his fans, and the guy clearly loves what he does. And he's a lot. He's not much different than you and I. He's he never finished film school, and he kind of broke into the industry, and he started doing what he loves. So I mean, I have all the respect in the world for him, and I hope he's going to be okay, and I hope he pulls through here. So I'm glad he appears to be recovering. So I hope he's out of the woods, and I hope that's the worst of it. Because
you don't get that one 2018. You don't get him. No.
Man,
if we're going that note, we had a scare with Stan Lee too. Thank God he's okay.
I heard about that. So yeah, but
that was scary.
But look, Stan Lee's he's in his 90s.
Still.
Right? Yeah. I mean.
This isn't the first scare we had this year.
He also lost his wife recently, which was very sad.
I agree.
But look, at the very least, Kevin Smith is still with us right now, and Kevin Smith, our heartfelt, condolences, and we hope you're going to be okay. And please get well soon, man.
Yes, absolutely.
So, thank you, Kevin Smith. Thank you for everything, Kevin Smith. All right, so moving on a little bit from that. So we got some news on Kirby, the next Kirby game, the Kirby game series from Nintendo. It is called Kirby Star Allies. It will be for the Nintendo Switch, and it's coming out March 16th. So this week we finally learned that the name of the game is Kirby Star Allies, and we're getting it next month. So you have a Nintendo Switch, and how do you think the next Kirby game looks, Jay?
I think it won't be bad. It looks like it'll be a fun little adventure. You can see there's a video where he fights one of the tree creatures again because I don't know because
it's in every Kirby game has that.
Okay, and
you got to have a tree boss in every Kirby game.
And for me, Kirby, I haven't played a Kirby game in a long time, but I will admit this: he's a lot of fun in Super Smash Brothers.
Kirby never gets old for me. He's one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite game series. Planet Robobot is my favorite game on the 3DS, honestly. Really? Yeah. I like
What's the basic plot of that one?
It's just it's your typical Kirby, like, you know, like there's, I think it's like some robot invaders on Dreamland, and
he's got like a robot suit, right?
Yeah, he gets a robot suit. That's the theme. It's basically your typical, you know, nightmares invading Dreamland, and Kirby has to save Dreamland, and
so it's like Kirby Pacific Rim.
Not quite like
Kirby's in a giant robot
but
suit.
It's got
bad guys.
I'll say its use of 3D graphics is very good, and the robot suit is a lot. I mean, I think it adds a lot of new wrinkles to the gameplay that we haven't had in the Kirby series before. So all that really works to me. So, but to me, Kirby games are always reliable. And I love the work of HAL Labs. So, and yeah, I love Smash Brothers too. I have Smash Brothers for 3DS, and I love that game as well. And I love playing as Kirby in that game. So I like that we're getting.
And it's just nice actually, because when we were at E3 last year, they're like, "There's a new Kirby game coming out. What's it called? Is this a new Kirby game?" Okay, right. So we knew nothing about it. They did the same thing with Yoshi too. Like, we're getting a new Yoshi game. What's it gonna be called? Just this new Yoshi game. All right. We knew nothing about it, so it's nice to at least know stuff about the game now, the new Kirby game.
So the good news is we're getting this game in just a few weeks, so at least you'll be able to play it on your Nintendo. How has the Switch been working for you so far?
Not too bad, actually. It's definitely different, but it's also really cool because you can either just play it like. Right. I haven't really gone mobile with it yet anywhere, but I have played it at home a few times.
Right. It is fully portable. You can take it anywhere.
I mean, I've been playing Mario plus Rabbids for a little bit, and that game is amazing. It's harder than you would think. It's more fun than you'd think, and yeah, it's a challenging game. So yeah,
it's just pretty amazing to me that you can have like a fully mobile console that you can play everything at home on your TV, and then you can pick it up and take it whenever you want. I think. And it's been selling well. It's been doing well for Nintendo. So this has been a nice sort of comeback for them. You know,
Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey really helped.
And look, you know, say what you want about Nintendo. To me, they still they make great games and they make good products for them. I think for the most part.
Well, it's not just that. Nintendo goes even further, where they keep making the same characters, but they find ways to expand them and make them better. That's
Mario Odyssey. I think is fantastic.
I mean, they do it with Mario, they do it with Metroid, they do it with like Zelda, they do it with all those. Right. We're like, you know, even Mario Kart. Mario Kart, you find a way to make that an amazingly fun game.
Do you like Breath of the Wild?
Breath of the Wild was unbelievable. It's one of the best Zelda games I've ever done.
I think Odyssey is one of the best things they've done with Mario.
Yeah, I need to play it. I haven't. I just haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, I love
that demo. That demo at E3 last year was freaking amazing. It was only 10 minutes, but you got to do so much in that 10 minutes. It was amazing.
I love the art style for Breath of the Wild. Is the animation. It might not be like. I like that they're willing to do different things every now. Like they don't. I feel like they don't reinvent the wheel, but they do, I think, just enough that's different to make it interesting.
Well, what's really cool about Breath of the Wild too was they had where there were bad guys where you had to run away or you could get killed instantly. So it's kind of interesting. Like there were certain places like, okay, you can't be there yet because if you do, you're not going to survive.
I think Star Allies will be good, even though it kind of looks like your kind of basic kind of.
I think it's got potential to be. I mean, I think it has potential to be good. I do.
All right. So let's see what. Okay, so now last thing, the Lady and the Tramp signature series.
Yes.
You got the review screener for that.
Yeah. I mean, and you know what's really cool about this? First of all, I haven't seen this movie in forever. You know, and it's such a classic, iconic film. It really is. You know, it's one of those films like basically it's just like simple concept is, you know, girl from one side of the tracks, guy from the other side of the tracks, two dogs, but you know, same concept.
Done as dogs, you know? Right.
Girl, good neighborhood, but guy, not good neighborhood. And they get together, fall in love, you know, and I love that. And one of the most iconic scenes, and I love it, is the scene where, you know, they go to Tony's. I love that scene because
it's an iconic scene.
And what's funny is because I love that scene, like where he goes, you know, he comes over and he goes, I give him some nice bones. And he sees the girl and he goes, here's your bones. Bones? What about what you like? Break your face, you know, and he goes, and he says, he wants meatballs, you know, and like spaghetti. He goes, dogs don't talk. He's talking to me. He's like, all right, okay, he's talking to you. You're the boss. You know, that scene is hilarious.
All right. Basically, hold on. We have the new signature collection Blu-ray out. So what's the appeal of this signature collection?
What's the appeal of this? Yeah. There's a number of appeals. First of all, there's a special feature on there where recording a Walt Disney talking about, like, it's called Walt and His Dogs, and it talks about, Walt and like he was a dog person, all the dogs he had in his life, how he got them. There's a really cool story in there. When he was with his wife, she didn't want a dog. She was like, I don't want a dog. I refuse. And it was before Lady and the Tramp was made. He got her a little like chow puppy and put it in like a box, like Lady was in the movie. Mm-hmm. And when she opened it, same thing like with Darling, she's like, oh my God, this dog's awesome. And she falls in love with it. She's like, this is like, this is our dog now. So that was a really real life story that ended up in the movie, which was really cool. And there's another cool special feature here that talks about, it's actually, I think, one of his daughters talking about Walt Disney and how he made the movie. And what's really cool too is she talks about like the apartment they have on Main Street at Disneyland near the firehouse, which is still there, by the way. And very recently, like in the last 5-10 years, they redid it just like pretty much exactly how it was then.
It also did your version include the booklet? Did it come with the booklet?
It came. I don't know if it came with a booklet, but it came with deleted scenes, which is really cool. So
tell us about those.
So what's really cool about that is they're done in a storyboard,
right? Because they didn't animate them,
of course. And what's really interesting is, like, there's things in there that would have changed the movie entirely. First of all, and there's one scene actually where, because I didn't see all of them, because there's some deleted scenes with the digital that I haven't watched it, but I watched the ones on the DVD. And the ones on the Blu-ray have, first of all, where there's one where Lady has two different, like, people who like her. Like, there's a real rich dog and there's like a normal dog. And
so there was like a suit. There were like some other suits for Lady.
And it's way before Tramp even existed. They hadn't even finished Tramp yet.
Okay.
And you see the one really rich dog who ends up being like one of the dogs in the pound in a later scene. So the dog made in the movie, he's different. And then there's a part in the movie where in this deleted scene where, the other dog decides to try to sing with his friends, to her and kind of serenade her. And it's the same song you hear in the pound. So like there's stuff in this scene that made it in the movie, just not the way they had planned it, which is really kind of cool. And that's one of the scenes. There's another scene where you see Lady and Jim Deere is waiting for, the baby. And at the end, when he sees the baby and it's a boy, he passes out. So that's a little smaller scene that you can see there. And again, Lady looks a little bit different in this scene than she does in the final movie. And then there was a third scene where it is Tramp, but he doesn't look how Tramp looks now. He looked more like almost like a not a pit bull, but a different dog. He wasn't the dog he was in the movie. And there's a scene where I guess him and Lady break into a dog review show. And she caused all kind of chaos being on the stage and trying to run away from
the. He gets on stage.
Well, they go to this theater where there's an old dog review. There's dogs dancing, there's dogs doing tricks, all this stuff, and there's dancing.
So what did she try to do?
They just try to sneak in the back and watch it originally. And it ends up, she's actually on the stage. She doesn't know when the show starts, and so it's not a bad.
I'm glad. It sounds like it's a good thing they cut this scene.
Yeah, that one is a good one they cut out. And what's really cool too, they have in here is there's a never recorded song in here.
Okay.
Where Tramp was originally going to sing a song I'm as free as a breeze, which wasn't a bad little song. But again, it's good they didn't put it in the movie. And what's interesting too is it reminded me of when Thomas O'Malley and the Aristocats did his own song, and it fit better there.
I love Aristocats,
and it fit better there than it would here. But they just thought at one time, So what's really cool about this movie itself, the special features is you can hear the process of how they made it too, which is really cool.
You can kind of see how Disney. Mm-hmm. And how ideas can kind of come up again for later films.
And there's one more special feature I want to talk about that's really cool too, where it's about Walt's office, which again they just recently in the last 5-10 years redid it to look like just how it did back then. And you find out he had his own little kitchen there, and he had and he spent a lot of time there. He'd bring his dogs there. So it was again kind of another home for him away from home, right?
So this sounds like a great, if you're a fan of Disney history and really interested in Walt Disney trivia and things of that nature.
Yes, there's a lot of really cool things about, like, Walt and how he lived and his world and all that, and like this movie, actually, he started doing this movie in 1939. And it was just called Lady.
And it didn't get released until 1955.
Yeah, so like he took a long time to make sure this movie was just right. And this movie is in history because it was one of his first original stories. It wasn't like based on a book or something.
All right. So
that was a big deal.
Great. So Lady and the Tramp, it's now in Disney's signature collection
it comes out
series
tomorrow on Blu-ray.
On Blu-ray and home video. Okay, so last bit of home video news. So Star Wars The Last Jedi will be coming out for its home video Blu-ray release on March 27th. Mm-hmm. That's for 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray disc, March 27th. And first it will hit digital video on demand on March 13th. And then 2 weeks later, it comes out on 4K Ultra and Blu-ray. So let's see. So and this will be so we're going to get a lot of extra features for this. We're going to get so it looks like we will get audio commentary. We will get some deleted scenes, and there were a lot of. What was that?
I think there's like 14 deleted scenes, I think.
Yeah, there's going to be there were a lot of deleted scenes for this film, and they will even have optional commentary by writer-director Rian Johnson. So there will be a multi-screen edition that includes the Blu-ray, a digital copy, and then there will be 4K Ultra HD, and I think okay, so there's going to be a 4K Ultra HD collector's edition that comes with the 4K Ultra HD disc. So yeah, so whatever format you prefer for home video, you'll probably be going to be able to get it for Last Jedi, and so that's next month. So right around the corner.
And there's also, I believe, a really good documentary as well, which Force Awakens had a really good one. So I'm looking forward to that too.
They kind of, for Force Awakens, they kind of separated them off in the set, but there will be a lot of. I think
like hours and hours of bonus features.
For this one,
like 2 to 3 hours, they said.
There will be the director and the Jedi behind the scenes with director Rian Johnson, balance of the Force, the mythology of the Force, and why Rian Johnson chose to interpret its role in such a unique way. So there'll be quite a few good extras for this. So I'm sure we're going to be taking a more in-depth on this probably sometime next month, Jay. So yeah, and then so convention season is coming right around the corner. Starting next month, we'll both be representing at WonderCon, and then a short time, really right around the corner in just a few months is E3. I already got my badge set for E3, so that's one less thing. So
yeah, I applied today. I'm looking forward to going. Hopefully.
Yeah. So I hopefully we'll all have that going on, and we'll have some fun stuff to talk about when those come around. So
yeah, and also next week we will have, of course, Voltron. We can finally talk about that next week. So we'll have season 5 talk about for that.
Yeah, after the episode's premiere.
And we can at least talk a little bit about Thor Ragnarok too, I think, because we both got that on Blu-ray, right?
On Blu-ray, that's coming. Yeah, that comes out next week on Blu-ray.
We can definitely do that. I don't know if there's any big movies coming out this week. Is there?
I think Red Sparrow, but we kind of already talked about. And Tomb Raider doesn't come out until March 16th. Yeah. All right, but you can check out my review of the Black Panther and a lot of other interesting stuff for me at 401 Mania. Jay, where can people find you online?
On the Good Men Project, Arts Entertainment section. I've got most of my reviews on there, and you can read my review of the Annihilation book there. So you can read the book review there. And remember, you can always follow us we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. I post this stuff on Tumblr, so just definitely check it out. Like us, follow us, share us, get the word out with us there, and follow us. And we try to do this at least once a week. So definitely,
Well, thank to everyone who has been tuning in. Thank you. We appreciate it, and everyone have a safe and happy week, and take it easy, and we will be back with you on Hollywood Purgatory very soon. This is where the entertainment industry comes to get judged. Thank you.